and be the first to see as it happens, watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv, building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, and be the first to see as it happens, watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv.
My girl, baby, you know that when the trees say, when I say I love you, I mean it, yeah. They say you know yes, I to give you all. As you say, you sing a tender. Baby, you know that when the trees say, when I say I love you, I mean it, yeah. They say you know yes, I to give you all. Cause I just wanna love you. Ndabva kubasa waswera sei komumwe wangu wabikane ndakarukutika come give me a hand cause naswera nchikufunga but I don't know tinopota na papi sometimes you call and I don't wanna think and sometimes you won't and I just wanna think what makes it so cold. Baby ndino down ndinzwizi say when I say I love you I mean it, yeah. Jese ndino yeta to give you all. Asise usinga tende. Baby ndino down ndinzwizi say when I say I love you I mean it, yeah. Jese ndino yeta to give you all. Cause I just wanna love you. Mwezi nino gona kutenga kana bazi nino keza wanditi woda zuwa nino kweza. But I don't see where we go wrong. Asi moyo wangu wakatora kare pae pae ngativeze kare nguva yareba pasina rudo nguva yareba pasina rudo. Baby ndino down ndinzwisise when I say I love you I mean it, yeah. Jese ndino yeta to give you all. Asise usingatende. Baby ndino down ndinzwisise when I say I love you I mean it, yeah. And you know yeta to give you all. Cause I just wanna love you. Ndabva kubasa waswera sei komumwe wangu wabikaneiko come give me a hand cause naswera nchikufunga but I don't know tinopota na papi sometimes you won't and I don't.
My father was a civil servant. We grew up in town. We put ourselves in this town.
Nekuwina my election. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe.
Thank you very much. I think, shall we ask people to switch off cell phones and or to put them on silent? Let us pray. Lord, bless this gathering. Bless the people who have come here to listen to our President and our leaders. Bless the officials and the organizers of this blessing. And bless our leadership who have come to meet with us today. In particular, Lord, I pray that you bless the President of our nation, the Honourable Emerson Mnangagwa, and grant him guidance and strength as he leads our country forward. We pray for a peaceful and successful election, an election that will lead us to a bright future for our country, and that will bring peace, prosperity and unity to all the people of Zimbabwe. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. We may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, with your permission, I'll call upon a representative of this community, Mr. Aritotis, to give a briefing.
Your Excellency, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Vice President, Retired General Dr. Chiwenga, National Chairman, Amai Muchunguri, Minister of State, Harare Metropolitan Province, Mai Chikukwa, Provincial Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, all protocol observed. On behalf of the minority community, I would like to thank you, Your Excellency, for taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us. We'd like to welcome you all to the interface meeting with the minority races in Zimbabwe. We discussed in detail an inclusive society would assist with improved development of our nation that we spent a lot of time and discussed on. All issues that would be best achieved after such an important meeting with you, Your Excellency, and your team. Within a short time, with our limited resources, we managed to reach out to the white community and other minority races, such as Indians and Coloreds. Your Excellency, we are one. We are all Zimbabwean. The issues that were raised to us in our organizing committee were as follows, Your Excellency. Increase in pensions and more assistance for pensioners. People in Zimbabwe want their own currency. US dollars to be readily available at an affordable rate. Try and curb, as best as possible, black market money dealing. Update health equipment. Cheaper costs for medical procedures in public. Incentives to get qualified workers back into Zimbabwe. Cheaper school fees in public schools. Cheaper prices and lower tax on consumer products. Free vaccines for the poor communities, especially the vulnerable and children. Increase of agricultural production, regardless of who owns farms. Better child welfare services. Better human rights for prisoners. Excuse me. Again, Your Excellency, we thank you for your time that you've given us today. I would also like to give a special mention to the organizing team, who were as follows. Mr. Ryan Webb, Mr. Passmore Chipete Kure, Charmaine Curry, Mr. John Falkenberg, Mr. Jordan Martin, Mr. Mian Sahal, Dr. Haney, and Mr. Francis Mambo. I thank you very much.
All protocol observed. I do have the honor, firstly, to introduce our Vice President, Honorable Chiwenga, who is in our midst, and we would want him to introduce our guest of honor. Honorable Vice President, sir.
Your Excellency, Honorable Mchinguri, our chairman, distinguished members, honorable ladies and gentlemen who are all gathered here, I think we shall do away with all the niceties of protocol. Your Excellency, the members who are seated in front of you, members of our own society, community, Zimbabweans. I've heard someone saying they are minority. No, yes, we want to say that they are minority, but there is no minority tribe in Zimbabwe. We are all equal. We are all Zimbabweans. This is our land, all of us. And so I want to say the word minority should end today. We are Zimbabweans. Members, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, today is a unique day that we've brought His Excellency President Emerson Mnangagwa to address you on issues which you have raised, but more important, to give you and chart the way forward as Zimbabweans, how we should all work together to build our country. So, be free. After he has addressed some of the issues which you have given to him, and there are any other issues which are burning in your heart, please be at ease with yourself. This is an important opportunity which we all have as Zimbabweans. So a lot of issues can be cleared, and together we march forward. The president is a listening president. He is a servant of the people, and he has already spelled out his mind of where Zimbabwe should be, not where we want us to take it, but where it should be. So I'm not going to take a lot of time. The president's brief history, all of you, you know him. Born in Shavani, Mapanzure area. He has gone through the mill to this very day. We have been with him since independence. And he has all the information about our country. And that he is a lawyer by profession, it's also a very added advantage. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you this very morning of the 21st of July, His Excellency President Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa to address you.
Please be seated. The chairman of Harare Metropolitan Province, Comrade Zimbabwean, the host minister for Harare Metropolitan Province, Honorable Chikukwa, the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and Vice President of ZANU-PF, General Chiwenga, and the National Chairman of ZANU-PF, also Minister of Environment, Climate and Water. The committee which has assembled us here, I wish to recognize you. But before I proceed to discuss and have a conversation with you, I'm worried about the animal farm arrangement which has been created here. Others are more equal than others. Others are in the sunshine and others are in the shade. So I thought we have created a democratic space in Zimbabwe where we should treat each other equally. But I'm sure there was no agenda for keeping us in the cold when we are enjoying the sun. When the national chairman, Honorable Chingure, approached me that he wanted to have some dialogue, some conversation with me, I assumed that it's an environment created for us to discuss, rather than an environment where I lecture. Let me assure you from the outset that the challenges you face, either as captains of industry and commerce, or farmers, or business people, the challenges we face as the public sector, as government, the solutions can only come when a situation is created where there is no them and us, or us and them. Now, under this situation, it does seem you are saying you and us. I think that the approach should be, these are the challenges we are facing in our respective subsectors of the economy. And how do we move forward? And we from the public sector, from government, we say also in the area of agriculture, in the area of mining, in the area of business, area of pensions mentioned here, the following are the challenges. How do we move forward? So together we must find solutions. No one side has the total responsibility of finding solutions. If you are of the mind that the government has answers to all questions, then you are mistaken. And if government ministers think that they have answers to all issues, they are mistaken. And if you yourselves think of answers to the private sector, you are mistaken. Answers can only come when we together dialogue, together converse and make a conversation around these challenges and move forward together, complementing each other. I see the list here where you expect me to give answers to these challenges. If I knew you were going to have this list, I could have also made a list of challenges which government is facing and asked you to give me answers. But as it is, this is our first occasion to discuss. And I think it's very important, it's very unique that the organizers who are in front here thought about this idea. I commend you for what you have done. I would wish that you continue doing it. When I say I'm a servant president, a listening president, the word listening means somebody will be talking. So, but then you want to reverse that, so I become the talker and you're the listeners. Nonetheless, this is what is facing us today. The first issue you have raised relates to increase in pensions and more assistance for pensioners. It shall be necessary to discuss those issues in detail and say what is the level of pensions that are given. Is that level now consistent or appropriate under the current circumstances, both of our economy and of our country, and just in terms of humanitarian consideration as to the comfort we must give to those who have served this country during their time when they're working. Then we say, what can we do about it? We address those issues. But for you to expect that as a president, I must come here and announce that pensions shall be changed from this level to that level, it's expecting a bit more. Even Solomon wouldn't answer some of the issues that are here, King Solomon. What is critically important is the dialogue around these issues and agree on a roadmap to improve these issues, looking at budgetary and physical constraints which we have and capabilities which we have. And also realizing that we are coming from a situation where the economy was actually dead into a situation now there's a trajectory of growth in the economy. You can look at industry, you can look at commerce, you can look at infrastructure development, you can look at mining, you can look at tourism, you can look at ICT, social services, health, and so on. There is a hope that the new administration has created in the country. But this hope will not fulfill the aspirations of every single individual, but collectively we must be able to say this is the roadmap we must walk to achieve the desired Zimbabwe we want. Together. There's no master, there's no, well, of course, perhaps Jesus has answers to most of the issues. But we, as a people, should embrace the current political and social democratic space we have created for everybody. We want everybody on board. We want everybody to say, what should we do to progress? We leave the past behind us. We have the capacity we have the desire and the will and commitment to have a better life for ourselves across the board. But to achieve that, Rome was not built in a day, not even Jerusalem, a Christian city. It was built brick upon brick. They never assembled the bricks from a lorry. No. Brick upon brick, stone upon stone. This is the same way we must build our Zimbabwe. But most importantly, we need peace in the country. I preach non-violence. We need a non-violent society for Zimbabwe for a change. We need a situation where conflicting views are accepted and the best argument takes the day on any issue. This is the way we must go forward, how we need to go forward. Okay, on the issue of pensioners, I'm one. I think pensioners begin from the age of 65. And I'm above 65, so I'm a pensioner. So we can speak the same language. I don't have the governor of the Zimbabwe with me. I don't have the minister of finance with me. I don't have the minister for social services. So that's something like that. Oh, she's my minister, but you know, I don't have those people who deal with those issues. But now that you have put this down, after the 30th of July, because I'm coming back as a president. I'm coming back as a president who will have to address these issues practically with all facts laid bare. And they say, this we are able to do by this period. And they put timelines as to how we are going to progress in improving. It's a bad situation. I know of some people who say that they are on pension and they live in the countryside. If they have to board a bus to come and they collect their pension here and they're going back, they almost exhaust the pension just through bus fare. That was not the intention of creating a pension scheme. It is intended to make sure in your later years you still can keep a life level that is comfortable. We do have, of course, the, I don't know what to call it, the level, what do you call it, income level, which keeps a family of 5 or 6 reasonably well. The income debtor level, poverty debtor level, yes, the poverty debtor level. So those are the ideas which must be brought forward. Are our pensions below that or above? What are the issues? I know that our Zimbabwe dollar collapsed and we were abandoned. But when we brought in the new basket of currencies, there's never been a legal frame to bring about the same level that was envisaged when the Zimbabwe dollar was stable, to give effect to pensioners to live a reasonable life. So those are the issues which ought to be discussed. I'm aware of the Commission of Inquiry on Pensions and the equalization of conversion from the former Zim dollar and the US dollar as a result of the migration from Zim dollar to US dollar, which has published their report, which made many people, including me, poor overnight. But then those things have happened, and you can't go back to live into the past. We have to live into the present and the future. But we must then agree on what should government do now to service our pensioners, give them a living pension that enables them to have bread at the table, enable them to pay for their rates for water, enable them to pay electricity, and so on, because they carried this nation at the time they were part of the working force. So on that one, as I've said, the organizers, I will give each other timelines when we should come back with the appropriate ministers who would be able to give facts and figures about the issue and make proposals. But those proposals cannot be made final. We need again to say, these are the proposals which we want to put forward. And you yourself can interrogate those proposals and we find common ground and together we move forward. Obviously, not all of us will agree, but we will find a consensus where we have to move forward, where we compromise on issues and say, this is how we must move forward now, and this is the roadmap to reach the goal where we want to reach. The next issue is about the people in Zimbabwe want their own currency. I can assure you there's no nation who does not want its own currency. We all, as nations or as countries, need our own currency. I'm sure there's no need now to go back and say, why did we lose the Zimbabwe currency? You all know what happened. We had a currency which after Zimbabwe in the year 1999 and the year 2000, we quarreled with the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. We who were in government under ZANU-PF, there was a meeting in Abuja, in Nigeria, where General Obasanjo was the president then of Nigeria, was hosting the Commonwealth conference at the time. I met him in Abidjan, and we discussed about it, but it's not under the bridge. At that time, it was said, stop the land reform exercise which you are carrying on in Zimbabwe. It's chaotic. It will disrupt the economy. If you do not do that, you will not want in the Commonwealth. If you are going to remain in the Commonwealth, you must stop what you are doing. Let me be frank with you. I was Minister of Justice, and I was able to advise my president at the conference in Masvingo. Of course, we were in total agreement. You might not think that we were in total agreement that of the two options, to stop the land reform and remain in the Commonwealth, or leave the Commonwealth and pursue the land reform. We chose to leave the Commonwealth and pursue the land reform. Whether that was right or wrong is now history, but as far as I'm concerned, as Mnangagwa and the ZANU-PF, which I lead, we made a correct decision because we corrected the land imbalance in the country. Now that land reform is behind us, we have now, since November last year, been in communication and in dialogue with Commonwealth, and we are now going back into the Commonwealth. We are going back not only in the Commonwealth, we are also getting embraced into the community of nations. We are rejoining the family of nations as a proud Zimbabwe. It's a new dawn for Zimbabwe. Now that we have the land issue behind us. The critical thing is that during the land reform, productivity collapsed totally. Zimbabwe moved from a secure food security sufficiency to insecure food. As a country, we began importing from being a food basket of the region. We became a beggar, an importer. So the task we have now, none of us can go back and live in the past. The task we have now is to make that land productive. We must now embrace the new we must modernize our agriculture, we must mechanize our agriculture. And in that process, we need the skills of those who can modernize our agriculture. We need the skills of those who can mechanize our agriculture. We need the skills of those who can make our land productive per hectare, increase productivity per hectare. Now, yes, again, I was Minister of Justice. In the past, there was a freehold on all our land, freehold title, that we abolished in relation to agricultural land. But with regard to urban land, it is still freehold, urban land. And each time we acquire land from rural councils, making it urban, we give it freehold status. But with regard to agricultural land, we've put a tenure of 99-year lease. I'm not talking about the communal area. I'm talking about agricultural land. It's a 9-year lease. And again, under the new dispensation, there's no discrimination. I met farmers in the Marsh West recently, and I assured them that there will be increased pace in the issuance of the 99-year leases, so that whoever owns a piece of land should feel secure and invest, knowing that one has a 99-year lease in one's possession. Very few of us live beyond 99 years, possibly myself, but very few will go beyond. But also, the 99-year lease is renewable. And everything possible has been done to make it tradable. So this is where we are with regard to the issue of the 99-year lease. Also, I told the farmers in Masholand West, and I also told yesterday I was the farmers from Chipinge and Chimanimani, that again, this issue of new invasions is a thing of the past. I have told my provincial ministers, I have told the party leadership across the country in the provinces, that is a thing of the past. The rule of law must now apply. We have the rationalization of land under the commission which we instituted, the Land Commission, because during the process of land reform, many of us sitting here acquired more than one farm. We must correct that. Whoever has multiple farm, one for himself, one for the wife, one for the grandchild, must go. And that land must be acquired. And we are saying many of our, especially white commercial farmers who remain there, who do not go away, we are very grateful for accepting this change. And they must come on board, and they must be issued with the 99 leases wherever the piece of land which they hold. And as we go forward, we are acquiring so much land that is now getting revealed as a result of the exercise we are doing now from those who have acquired multiple farms. And we're also doing downsizing of farms. And again, we are racially blind. Doesn't matter whether it is Chiwenga. If Chiwenga is a farm bigger than what is required in the area, we downsize it. We forget that he is vice president. He is a citizen like anybody else. The same with me, and the same with everybody. We are going to make sure we don't have the animal farm mentality which you did this morning. So the question of currency is a matter which my government is seized with. There are issues which we need to be put into place before we introduce a new Zimbabwe currency. But what I can say now is that that matter is seized with government as to, because we cannot, we may have infrastructure development in the country in terms of road construction, dualization of our highways, widening of our highways, construction of dams into the country, railways, and general infrastructure in the country. But there's no corresponding issuance of currency to meet the development of assets which we are having, because the currencies which we are using are not our domestic currencies, are from elsewhere. And we only have that currency through exports. But because of the current new dispensation in the country, all subsectors of the economy have generally responded to this positive atmosphere in the country. And despite the fact that since January, exports have increased by 23-point-something%, still the importation of raw materials to feed into industry and commerce is still higher. The economy is heating. So every enterprise would want to retool, bring new skills, new machinery, new technologies, and that demands foreign currency. But that is a good thing, despite the fact that the need for foreign currency outstrips our revenue earnings of foreign currency. But I'm happy that with our policy of engagement and re-engagement, we are receiving positive response across the board into this country. We have so many projects, I'm unable to cope up with the groundbreaking. Groundbreaking. Now, groundbreaking means that there are new businesses coming into the country, which means creation of employment is coming into the country. New technologies are being introduced into the country. At the end of the day, also, our exports are going to grow. As I've said, during the last 5 months, according to statistics, we've in excess of 23% economic, growth in the export side. So on the issue of our own currency is a matter which the government is seized with. I cannot give you the timetable because the press is here. The US dollar to be readily available at an affordable rate. Now, on the one hand, you want a free economy. You want a democratic, liberalized, reformed economy. On the other, you are persuading us to impose regulations. It's difficult to satisfy everybody's needs. We cannot put regulations at how the dollar is going to be changed or exchanged, the dollar or the rand or the pound and so on. The economic activities and transactions in the country should determine how this is going to be settled as we go on. So what is most important is productivity, productivity, and productivity. That will set up the issues. But if we are going to regulate, you are asking me to go back to the situation where central government says an orange must be sold at so many cents. We're not going to do that. Manjanje must be sold at so much per kg, right? You grow your own pumpkin, then the government sits down and says your pumpkin must be sold at so much. No. If you grow a pumpkin that cannot be bought, then you must change and grow something else which can be bought. So again, I'm saying on that one, we have liberalized the economic sector. We would want that the forces of demand and supply play. Yes, of course. There are areas where government must intervene and put safety nets to look after the disadvantaged in our society. That we are going to do. But allow the economy to play out. Try and cut out black market money dealing. There are several accusations here. I get intelligence that government institutions are involved in black marketing. But when I call these guys to my office, they deny. I'm also told that the private sector themselves are also involved in black marketing. But I don't know who to call to question. But at the end of the day, the black market subsists because there are inequalities in the economy. When those inequalities in the economy are addressed, the black market will die. The black market can only exist because somebody is finding an opportunity in playing around with currencies in the country. So all what is required, productivity and productivity in the country. So you reach a stage where there's no need to deal in any black market because it's not beneficial. So again, we should not say government or government say private sector. Let us all say together, this is our economy. What environment should the government create? And we ourselves are also saying, you as the private sector, what would you want us to do for you in order for you to excel in the business that you are engaged? Then we talk. But of course, at the end of the day, we look at national interest. We will not grant everything that you request. We will grant everything which is reasonable that you request, taking national interest into account. But what is most important is the democratic framework under which we must operate, where there's dialogue between government and the private sector and the government. And there must be that determination and commitment that the economy is ours together, and it is only us who can move it forward. So this is what I say about this one. Updated health equipment, cheaper costs for medical procedures in public. Well, again, public health is generally a public service issue. Yes, we also accept that the missionaries of hospitals and clinics, also we have people in from the private sector who run private hospitals or private clinics and so on. But this is a social sector where government must give priority. In fact, there is a requirement that a percentage of the budget must go for education as well as go for health. And that we are going to stick to under the AU guidance. We are going to do that. It is necessary for us to make sure that our people receive or have access at least to primary health care. Everybody should have access to that. But let us not have that mindset that everything must come from government. No. My view is that all of us have something to do or to contribute towards a better healthcare service in the country. Yesterday, no, a day before, on Thursday, I was in Kadoma Hospital. I was invited there to launch, commission, that's the correct English word, to commission Kadoma Hospital. There is a company called Zimplats, it's a platinum company, which spent about 2.6 million US dollars in refurbishing Kadoma Hospital. It's almost a state of the art now. There's a new laundry. They now just press buttons, linen, which has been used to non-communicable diseases. It is only section. Linen for used in the area of communicable disease, its own section. Just press buttons and these things are clean. But this is a private sector commitment to social responsibility. If we are going to wait for Chinamasa, it's not clear. The Chinamasa have heard about. I was telling people yesterday, you go to Chinamasa and sleeping, Chinamasa. Say, oh, I have no money. Say, no. I have brought you breakfast. No. Government doesn't have the resources to attend to every aspect of human endeavor. We all should do something and contribute to the community in which we live in, like what Zimplats has done. Right. So, with what I saw, I then discussed with the Minister of Health and said, now, look at this facility, which has been put for you. You now need the maintenance of this facility. You now need to make sure this facility is maintained, continuously upgraded. You now need to, as a result of that, many more doctors will want to go to Kadoma. Because, as I've said, the laundry, the kitchen, the children's ward, the maternity ward, and so on, machines which were bought by this company. But there are so many other companies who would contribute very little and make life comfortable. After all, who knows when one would want to be in hospital? We don't know. But someday we have to pass through there. Of course, unless you go into an accident and you die, you'll be in hospital, but you won't know you are there. But at the end of the day, it's an institution which we all must support, even the private sector, as I'm saying. But you are saying here, the costs must come down. Well, what we have done in this respect, I consider myself very lucky. Under the Rhodesian days, the age of majority was 21. And I went for military training in China and Egypt at the age of 19 and the age of 20. So under that law, can't remember the law, Law and Order Act, that time, they could not hang somebody who was below 21, and I survived. Although I had undergone military training in China. Under the new dispensation, again, we are saying anybody above 70 cannot be hanged. And I'm above 70 and they can't be hanged. Now, currently, under my administration, we have said children under the age of 5, free medication. And our citizens under the age of 65, like me, free medication. I don't know what we are proposing. I suppose at the bottom, you want us to increase beyond 5, possibly to 15, or possibly to the age of 18, and say, those who are up to 18 are a child. in terms of our law now. I don't know, is that what you are proposing? That up to that age, you should have medical, free medical services, and of course, those of my age and above should have free medical services. Is that what you are saying? It's an issue we can consider, depending on the resources which we have. But it's something we can consider and say, okay, in those issues, we have done a lot. We have cut down on issues. The cost of blood, I think we reduced by 50%, and we intend to go further again in future. The maternity charges and so on have been removed, and many others we've removed all those things. But I'm sure if there are specific areas which you want us to attend to, we can look at that. Free vaccines for the poorer communities, especially children. I might have attended that. Increase of agricultural production, regardless of who owns the farm. I am saying we should cease to talk about who owns the farm in terms of color. We should cease talking about that. A farmer, a black farmer, a white farmer is a Zimbabwean farmer. We should look at that way. We should begin to develop a culture among our people to accept ourselves together, that we are one. Let the past remain behind. There are so many white farmers who don't have farms anymore as a result of the land reform. But I think they have a role to play in terms of skills in the farming sector for productivity. What is required, we need more of such interaction with farmers' organizations. Invite me and I articulate my policy to the people, to the farmers. So you find comfort and you know what is possible and what is not possible. There are some people who are still behind, who still feel that if, in fact, let me tell you, I know of some chefs, mostly senior chefs, like me. We have moved from one farm to another. They see a very prosperous farm, they say, Wanoida, Wotora, and then they run it down. Then he leaves that farm and is issued another one. He runs it down. Some of them are at the third and fourth farm, running farms down. That time is gone. Your color does not entitle you to run farms and run down assets of this country on the basis of your color. No. You've talked about, increase agricultural. On the agricultural production, I want to say we have created a model of agriculture. We want to restore the status of Zimbabwe as a food basket of the region. And I think we are on that road. We have the Command Act. It's not government financed, it's private sector financed. We have 2 seasons. Every season, we have determined as to how many hectares in Zimbabwe which will give us the amount of grain we want per year, plus 500,000 metric tons of grain as strategic reserve. We have worked out that. And it's voluntary, despite it being called command. People accuse me of being communistic by calling it command. It is command because the 5 elements that we've identified that are necessary for a farmer to be on the land, we provide those things for that season to the farmer. So there's no need again of going to a bank, going to an insurance company, and so on and so on. We would provide you with seed, provide you with fertilizer, provide you with chemicals, provide you with the diesel, provide you with mechanical power to plow. And yours is to do the job. And we realize that if we make, and if you follow the program guided by those who are experts in agriculture, who are now across the country and supervising those who come onto the program, you definitely have productivity in excess of 5 tons per hectare. Out of the 5 tons per hectare, generally 2.8 is able to pay for the cost of a hectare. But many get more than 5 tons per hectare, get 8 tons per hectare, 9 tons per hectare, well above. Still, the cost per hectare in terms of the loans we give you is about 2.83 tons. So the balance is all yours. Where would you find such a good partner? Correct. But now, we have said this country is prone to droughts. So, under the Minister of Environment and Water, we have a program supported by Spain. India is coming on board. I'm still having discussions with other 2 major companies and major nations in the creation of dams in the country, in the upgrading of irrigation in the country. When we reach 350,000 to 400,000 hectares under irrigation, then whether there's drought or there's no drought, we will have enough rain for this country and surplus for strategic reserve. We are also supporting the ordinary household by making sure they don't remain behind on their 1 hectare or 2 hectares of land. We want that also to be made productive so that the family at that level produces enough food for themselves to be able to send their children to school and so on. We're supporting them through the presidential input support scheme. And in the end of the day, we discover that it is very beneficial. That one is government financed, that aspect. But we are also finding ways to create a model where the private sector can come in, you see, to support that. Of course, there must be some retain if funds are coming from the private sector. And we are giving a return of about 4%. Every 6 months, you get your return on investment at 4%. And it's guaranteed by the system we have put into place. We have marginal delinquencies between 8 and 10% of those who come on board, but we kick them out. We kick them out. So I am saying in the area of food security and agriculture, this country has that potential not only to grow for ourselves, but for the international market. We should find ourselves back into shepherd bush, Leopold and Game. We used to supply vegetables, horticulture, Brussels, and other European capitals. That had gone. But now, with where we are going, with the vision which we have, I see this coming back. Horticulture, we are going to support all those things. And now, I have discussions of business people, investors coming in, who would want to invest in those areas, but they would want a structured investment with the targeted farmers who are committed to doing particular production of a particular quality. And that is coming. But that can't be achieved overnight. We need to continuously have meetings of this nature so that when these people come here, we know where to direct them. And we know whom they must talk to. There must be structures among yourselves. Whether you are miners, there must be structures. If you are farmers, there must be structures. If you are business people, captains of industry, there must be structures of how to relate your needs to your challenges, as well as tapping into the global capital. Now that is sitting there saying, where would you want us to come in? The cost of doing business, the ease of doing business, all these things. We have an interministerial committee chaired by the Minister of Justice, making sure that we remove all the archaic pieces of legislation that has been constraining business in this country. The issue now is the business, wealth creation, politics after 5 years, we come to you to vote. But in between, we must make wealth. Those who have talent must be rewarded for their talents. But we know not everybody has talent, so we must create safety nets to look after the marginal members of community who need to be assisted. Better human rights for prisoners. Again, this is an area which is primarily government. Governments must always make sure. Yes, I spent 10 years in prison myself. I don't want again to what I went through. I wouldn't want other Zimbabweans to go through what I went through. But I'm not encouraging people to commit a crime and they say prisons are going to be better. No. But we need to give dignity to our people wherever they are. They must be treated with dignity. They must have decent food, decent clothing. Yes, we will have a marginal number of persons who would prefer to stay in prison than outside. That is found in all countries, developed or undeveloped. That element of people are there. So, on this issue of human rights, we have the United Nations Human Rights Commission, which goes around countries inspecting these things. Every 4 years, we subject ourselves to presenting our human rights record. And we have so many challenges in that area. We know what we must do. Some things we are doing, some things we are failing to do, yet we know what we ought to do, but constraints of resources in that area. But also, the private sector can assist in that area. Again, Excellency, thank you for your time you have given us. This is the only area you are thinking in me for coming here. I had omitted one line which says that incentives to get qualified workers back into Zimbabwe. That is a bit tricky. If I went to South Africa, well, I always go there. I also went to Qatar, it's in the Middle East. I found Zimbabweans there, black and white, from Zimbabwe, in very high places, doctors, engineers, ICT experts, CEOs. But we cannot have a policy of saying, you come back as an engineer and they will pay you better than the engineers who didn't go out. If you're a Zimbabwean and you want to contribute to Zimbabwe, come and join the environment and improve it. The teachings of the Bible is not good on this one. There was the prodigal son who left the father, took a lot of, I must say, the people in the diaspora took anything. But this prodigal son, I understand, went away and quashed his inheritance. And when he came back, the other sons remained, the children remained with the father. When he came back, the father was so pleased and killed and made the ceremony to receive him back after squandering what was due to him. I'm also sure that this is the approach we want us to do. To say those who have gone to diaspora, when they come back, we must celebrate that they've come back. I am saying every single Zimbabwean who is in the country, every single Zimbabwean who is in the diaspora should be patriotic about his or her country. People have gone out for various reasons. Some went out because there was no employment in the country. Some went out because the quality of skills they have could not accommodate it in this country. Some went out because they had committed crime. But all are Zimbabweans. So, when each time I go out, I meet our people in the diaspora. I urge them to come back home and make their contribution at home. They should not expect that a cake is prepared for them to come and eat. They should come and participate in creating the cake for eating. Together with those who remain behind. I think I have covered some of the issues which you have listed here. As I've said, this is the beginning, but let us have an approach where we make a gathering of this nature and then we have a conversation among ourselves. You raise issues. Somebody here might raise an issue. Somebody that side might say that issue in his view or her view must be resolved this way. We may raise issues on the front bench, and we may be able to also assist and say that must be resolved this way. And we debate and we find a way forward. I would want a situation where there are those who know and those who don't know. No one is gifted with answers of every particular challenge a country has or an entity has. We all have limitations in whatever we are doing. So collectiveness, collective approach is the issue as far as I'm concerned. Collective approach, collective application to resolving our issues, that is the issue. And I have no doubt that I am saying, or we are saying, as the new dispensation, we must build the Zimbabwe we want. And to build the Zimbabwe we want, the people of Zimbabwe should agree on that road to achieve the Zimbabwe we want. I thank you. Of zeros allotted to whites, colored, Indian, and Asian communities to depict that they are aliens is gone if it is there. There is no question of saying you are Indian, you are white, you are colored, you have what we call it, an identity which shows you that if you are born here, a citizen, they have the same documentation like everybody else. There is no distinction. If it is there, because I'm hearing for the first time, if it is there, it's dead. I'm making sure after the 1st of 30 July, the Minister of Home Affairs must raise this. If there is that law, it must go. I thank you.
Pasine Mandu.
PF. Pasine Mandu.
Pasinazo.
Idi fe. Idi fe. Idi fe. Idi fe. Idi fe. Magadio. And good mornings. Your Excellency, and also I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Rian, to my team, which went very hard at a short time. And I would like to ensure that on 30th of July, ZANU PF win the elections. As the whole community with you, sir. I'm also very happy today. Because normally I hear you so many speeches, but when I go home today, I tell my family, I speak today and my president listen. And I'm very happy. Your Excellency, lastly I would like to hand over the one soccer ball, which one the Asian community have made for you, which one has engraved the ED has my vote, specially made for our Excellency, which one we already delivered to in HQ, the whole quantity, but one of the football I want to hand over to you, sir. If you allow me, I can do that.
Hey, Johnny. What up, Captain?
Excuse me.
Then also as a businessman, I said we have some small problem with our importation of textile. So please address that our problem also, please. For the textile especially. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and be the first to see as it happens. Watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv. Building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and be the first to see as it happens. Watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv. Building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and be the first to see as it happens. Watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv. Building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like our Facebook page and our YouTube channel and be the first to see as it happens. Watching TV on the go. ZimdiTv. Building bridges. Your views and comments are welcome on the program. Remember to like